What's up, guys? It's your boy, Real Press Button here. Thank you for watching. I appreciate it. Don't forget to subscribe. And we got to talk about William McNeil Jr. If you don't know, this guy was pulled over. He ended up getting hit in his face and pulled out of his car by the police. Black guy, white cops. Here we go. But listen, honestly, it was his fault. They told him to get out of the car. He didn't do it. They told him to identify himself. He didn't do it. You don't get to choose when you're going to comply with the police. You can't pick and choose, I'm going to listen to this. Well, you can if you know the law, but there are certain things that you have to do. And when they say get out of the car, you got to get out. When they say give me your ID, just like at any traffic stop, you got to give it to him. He didn't do those things. And that's why what happened. All he kept saying was, give me a supervisor, give me a supervisor. Tell me why you pulled me over. When they had already told him, as a matter of fact, the cop walked up to the car in the beginning, right? First of all, William opens the door right away as the cop is approaching the car. You don't do that. You know who does that? Criminals. And the cop don't know the difference between you, a college student who's just trying to go about his day, and a criminal, because he just met you and you're opening the door before he even gets to it. No, you don't do that. What you do is keep both hands on the wheel. The cop approaches and then you yell through that window that can't go down. My window can't go down. I'm going to open my door so we can talk. Okay. Is that okay? Like you have to be very clear and deliberate, because sudden movements don't work well at traffic stops. Okay. I mean, come on. We should all know that. But that's the thing. A lot of these things people don't know, because there's no traffic stop school, and there should be. You should have to take classes on what to do at a traffic stop when you get your license. If you got kids, you need to be role playing this stuff. Save this video, send it to them, do all of that, because I am telling you, you have children and people in your life who will do these same things at these traffic stops just because they don't know any better, not because they're bad people, but because everybody thinks they know their rights. That's the first thing people say when they get pulled over. I know my rights. And they don't. And they certainly don't know their wrongs. And they certainly don't know the cops' rights, what the cops are allowed to do. So share this video, because it's important. It's important. These people don't know. And it's a waste of time, energy, and resources every single time. And you just imagine, you, heaven forbid, are in a serious situation, an accident or whatever, where you need the police, but they can't get to you because they're wasting time with some knucklehead who doesn't want to identify himself, when it could have just been a simple warning or a ticket. But now they got to spend hours processing him or her just because they're ignorant of the law, and they have a lack of respect for authority, and they have a need to be right. ILN, they're illin. Ignorance of the law, lack of respect for authority, and need to be right. Okay, that's one of my little acronyms that I came up with to describe all of this. Okay? If you don't know, when somebody's illin in colloquial terms, it just means they're bugging out. You know, they're wilding, they're doing something they shouldn't be doing. Okay, they're out of control. They're illin, like wilding out. I'm sure you heard of the show Wilding Out. Well, over here at Real Press Button, illin means ignorant, lack of respect for authority, and needs to be right. And that's exactly what happened with William McNeil Jr. And it happens time and time again at simple traffic stops that should be simple, but they end up very complicated because people want to fight with the police. They end up with Bat Leo felonies, battery on a law enforcement officer. They end up with fleeing and eluding because they think they can just pull off when they want to. I mean, it's crazy. They end up with obstruction charges because they don't want to identify themselves, because they think they did nothing wrong. And they say, oh, you got to tell me what I did wrong before I give you my ID. No, they don't. No, they don't. But that's the ignorance of the law that's coming in. And under normal circumstances, these people at these traffic stops are fine people, but they're just ignorant. So that's why I'm doing this. I'm telling you, we got to get the message out, especially to black people, because it's happening so much. Go watch these body cam videos if you don't believe me. And it's not just black people. There was a white lady, older white lady, who the cop knew. Well, at least he knew her son. Okay, very familiar with her son. Everything was cordial at the beginning. until he said, I'm gonna give you a ticket. And then she's like, I ain't taking that ticket, I ain't signing it. And she got all combative. And you can't do that. She got tased. That woman must have been 60 years old. And she got tased as an older white lady. So leave the race card out of it. Chances are you didn't get pulled over because you're black. You probably got pulled over because you are being whack. Let's be real. You think just because you're black, you can't do anything wrong? Of course you can. Of course you can. And the side of the road is not the place to argue the matter. You don't have court on the side of the road. You do that in court. If you got a problem with what they did, said, or whatever, you comply at the stop and you take it to court and you tell the judge. And make sure you got a body cam or something like that, a dash cam or something like that. That's good to have. I am telling you. So this guy, William McNeil Jr., gets pulled over. Cop walks up to the car. He opens the door before the cop gets there. The cop is like, why are you opening your door like that? He's like, oh, my window doesn't go down. Why are you pulling me over? Again, don't do it like that, William. Keep your hands on the wheel, let him walk up, and then tell him your window can't go down. You don't know if you're opening that door to shoot him or what, or run, or he has no idea, okay? You lucky you didn't get shot right there. So then the cop starts to tell him why he pulled him over. No seatbelt, your headlights aren't on, and there's inclement weather, and you can see that the car was wet, so clearly it just got rained on, but it wasn't raining at the moment. So it looked like it just stopped raining, but it was still gray and cloudy. The video's up. You can go watch it. So he gave him those two reasons. And then he said the third reason, and before he can get the third reason out of his mouth, William started arguing, started talking back. I don't got to have my headlights on. It ain't bad weather. I don't got to have it. What are you doing? Shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. The one right you definitely have is to remain silent. Why are you sitting there? You know? Oh, man. Oh, my God. And then the cop says, you know what? Get out of the car. And he slammed the car. William slammed the car, locked himself in there, wouldn't get out. Give me your supervisor. Give me your supervisor. When you request a supervisor, this is something we need to talk about, too. You don't get to just not obey any commands just because you requested a supervisor. It's not like you get to do what you want until the supervisor gets there. No, you still have to comply until the supervisor gets there. Number one. And number two, the supervisor is going to get there and tell you the same exact thing that officer is telling you. You think he's going to come save you from the situation and say, oh, these officers are in the wrong. You're in the right, sir. Have a nice day. You go on with your suspended license and the weed in your pocket and all of that, because that's what he had. He had a suspended license and weed on him, which is probably why he was doing all that to begin with, but who knows? Yeah, it was completely his fault. The first officer was trying to talk to him, trying to reason with him through the window after he locked himself in the car. Then a second officer came to the passenger side and again was trying to reason with him and tell him, listen, this is a valid traffic stop. You have to listen to that officer. He's like, oh, can you show me the law? Can you pull that up and show me the law? That's what you do in court. Once again, you don't do that on the side of the road and say, I'm not going to listen to you guys until you show me the law. It don't work like that. It don't work like that. But because he has no respect for authority, he doesn't understand any of that. So he's sitting there just arguing. Even if you have contraband on you, you got something on you that you shouldn't have on you, you're not going to get out of it by acting like that. The best way to get out of it is to comply and be as nice as possible, and maybe they won't search you. Maybe they won't smell it. Maybe they won't search you and you'll get away with it. You know? But when you do what he did, argue, be defiant, combative, they're definitely going to search you and find whatever you have. Okay, so if the goal is to get out of doing whatever you did, the best way to do that is to comply. And if you don't have anything on you and you didn't do anything, the best way to handle it is to comply, regardless of what you got going on. Your best bet is to comply. And then they always yell, record this, somebody record this, when they recording the whole time, buddy. They're recording the whole time. That's why there's so many body cam videos on YouTube, because they record everything. Oh, man. So yeah, they couldn't reason with him. They couldn't get him out of the car. So eventually they smashed the window and hit him in the face. But at the point where they got to smash your window, you surprised you got hit in the face? They got to put their hands on you now. Yeah, you going to get hit. It's not going to feel good. You think they're only just going to grab you softly by your arm and pull you out? No, they're going to hit you, kick you, punch you, all kinds of stuff. Who knows? Who knows? You know how you avoid all that? Just comply. And then they had the press conference, and they're praising William because he didn't react when they punched him in the face, as if he had a choice. At that point, he was surrounded by cops. He better not react, otherwise it's going to be a lot worse for him. What they should be praising him for not overreacting at the beginning of the stop, but he did. They didn't hold him accountable for anything that he did at the beginning of the stop. All of that back talk and defiance and aggression that caused them to have to break the window. At the press conference, you got all these civil rights attorneys up there, and they didn't hold him to any of that. They just were praising him. Oh, this is what we want all of our children to do. What? What? You want all of our children to do what he did? Be defiant and disrespectful to the police when they get pulled over? So this can happen to all of them? Are you crazy? Now, in respect to him not reacting to them punching him in the face, fine. Yeah, we want our children to not fight with the police. Okay, I can agree with you there. But the rest of the stop was completely William's fault. He did everything wrong. We want them to be compliant. Yes, sir. No, sir. Here's my information. I'm sorry. You want me to get out of the car? Get out of the car. You know, you don't got to necessarily say I'm sorry, but you understand what I'm saying. And honestly, watching the press conference made me question every police brutality case that I've ever heard of, because I've never actually watched the entire footage from one of these cases. But since I did with this one, and I know what's going on, and then to hear them spinning a narrative that's completely wrong, I was disgusted. Honestly, I was shocked. I was like, oh my God, what is going on? Because as a black man, you feel like you can trust the civil rights attorneys fighting for you. But no, they were fighting for somebody who was in the wrong just because he was black. It's like they were trying to create this narrative of black versus right, black people versus the police. And that's not it. Not in this case. I'm sure there's bad police out there, but that wasn't this case. Those are good police, and we need the good police. Oh, man. I was shocked, man. The way they were praising him in that press conference, attorney after attorney, going up to the mic. Oh, man, we're so glad he did this. We're so impressed with him. Oh, he's such an impressive young man. Are you serious? What he did was reprehensible. What he did was extremely dangerous. They just kept focused on he got hit in the face and he didn't react. Okay. But he's not some stone cold, ice in his veins, person who can control his emotions regardless of what's happening, because he had zero control over his emotions in the beginning. And that's what caused the whole situation. The cop couldn't even tell him the third reason why he was pulling him over, because William was so emotional. Okay. So listen, I had to come on here and share my thoughts about this. Let me know what you think down in the comments. And I just want to get to a point where we're not just using the race card unnecessarily. Save it for when it's necessary. Okay. And even when it is, I mean, let's, when it's necessary to use it, it's necessary. But honestly, we got to look in the mirror. We got to look in the mirror and say, you know what? Maybe it was my fault. Maybe I was in the wrong. Maybe I shouldn't have did what I did. That ever happened to you? You ever think you're right about something, and then after you step back and think about it, you're like, damn, you know what? I was wrong. And honestly, I think William knows that, because if you watch the press conference, he's very meek and mild. But we know that's not him naturally because we saw the body cam video of the traffic stop. There was nothing meek about him. He was yelling and arguing with those cops like they were his underlings. But at the press conference, he had very little to say. When it was his turn to talk, I think he might have said 10 words. He was like, yeah, I was scared for my life. And that's it. That's it? You don't got nothing else to say? He had plenty to say at the stop. It seemed to me like he had reflected on it and was looking at everything happening around him. He was probably saying to himself, I don't deserve all this. He was probably embarrassed because he's probably like, this is not right. No, I've had time to reflect on what I did, and what I did was wrong. Why are you guys sitting here saying this? That's what I got from his demeanor. I don't know if that's what he was thinking. I have no idea what he was thinking. But having watched the video and then seeing that press conference and watching him, he looked like he was like, ooh, you know? Oh, man. So anyway, guys, I just wanted to voice my opinion about this. Okay, this is my new channel, Real Press Button. I'm going to be talking about more topics like this. And let's be real, man. Let's be real. Black people in general, you got to look within. It's not all police aren't bad. I used to have a big chip on my shoulder about police too. They're not all bad. I've been pulled over plenty of times in worse, well, not in worse situations, but I'm just saying I've been pulled over in situations where, you know, I was in the wrong and the cop could have done a lot more. But because I was respectful, every time I've been let go. Every time. And when I was younger, it was a lot. I haven't been pulled over in a long time now because, you know, I'm older and I'm much more responsible and, you know, I don't do silly things and I take care of my stuff. But back in the day, I've been pulled over and let go every time. Respectful. Your attitude will determine your altitude. Whether you're standing or you're face down on the ground is going to be determined by your attitude. They got no reason to put you face down on the ground if you're respectful. Okay? So remember that next time you get pulled over. Show some respect and comply. And if you don't agree with what they did, take it to court. I'm Real Press Button, and I'm out.